Okay, greetings in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Today we are going to talk about, a rather uncommon subject or an uncommon topic. Let's talk about sin. Let's talk about sin. I know that this is not very common and this is not very popular, amongst even the believers, but it's very important to understand what Jesus Christ saved us from so that we understand the sacrifice that he did on the cross of Calvary. Now, if you go into the book of Genesis, you see that the first act of sin was whereby men disobeyed God and we ate the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. You see, and the second place where we see sin, being instituted is when Cain killed his brother Abel. So this is where actually we see the first word sin, being mentioned in the Old Testament. And in Hebrew, it's hamatia, which means to miss a point or to miss a mark or to miss a goal. It's like you want to score but you miss the goal post. That is sin, in literal sense. So we see that when man failed to trust God, we ate this fruit. And then this fruit, instigated a spirit in us or a soul in us, that is, bent on defining good and evil on our own terms. So we like defining good and evil on our own terms. This is sin, according to us. That's why you see that in the society today, what we deem necessary, what we deem sin, is something that is unacceptable in the society. And then something that we accept in the society is regarded as something that is not sin or something that is righteous. So let's take for instance, there are now cultures that are being instituted even in churches, and then they are saying now it's okay, it's okay to do these kind of things, like homosexuality and all sort of things that are being introduced into the church, and in the society now it's becoming okay. You get the point? Now it's becoming okay because this is the mentality that was instigated, in the book of Genesis, whereby we see men himself failing to trust God, to define the word sin, and we started defining sin on our own terms. We started to define what is good and what is evil on our own terms. And then the second place where we see also the word sin occurring is, when Cain killed his brother Abel. So this is now trust that is breached between brothers, trust that is breached between two, people, between two humans. So this is very important. That the first phase was not to trust God. The second phase was not to trust each other. That's why you see the 10 commandments, the half of the commandments, they talk about, failure to love God, and the other half is about failure to love man. So these 10 commandments, they were coupled together, which actually means that failure to love God is the same as failure to love people. And then failure to love people is the same as failure to love God. We cannot separate these two. So it's very important to understand this principle so that we know why Jesus Christ came to die for us on the cross of Calvary. So when Jesus Christ came, he actually came and he first trusted God. How do we know that Jesus Christ trusted God? Because he was a deity. But when he came, he left everything aside. And when he left everything aside, when he came, he was a man just like you and me. So he was a man, which means he depended on the trust, that he had in God. So he needed to trust God, to fulfill the plan that he was, living through. And we see this even if he wasn't trusting God, it was very good. It was very, very difficult for him to resurrect even from the dead, because Jesus Christ trusted the Holy Spirit so that he would resurrect him from the dead. So the first act was to trust God through his life. So Jesus Christ throughout his life, we see that he trusted God. He trusted God in everything that he did. He trusted God in everything that he was doing. And also the second action that he did, or the second thing that he was doing, was to love men. Okay, so Jesus Christ made sure that he trusted God, and that secondly, he had a good relationship, with his peers, with other people. So he was now countering, the trust that was breached in the book of Genesis. So when men breached the trust, Jesus Christ came and he started mending that trust. And then when Cain and Abel, when they breached also that relationship that they had as brothers, Jesus Christ came and he mended that. So this is why God so loved the world and he sent his only begotten, so that today we might be set free and today we might be saved. So it's important to understand that Jesus Christ, countered sin on two levels. He countered it first by trusting God, and then secondly by making sure that he has a good relationship with us. And then this qualified Jesus Christ to die for us on the cross of Calvary. So, this is a 3-part series. We spoke about sin, and then in the next video, I guess we're going to talk about iniquity, and then we'll end with transgression. So until next time, it's just a 3-part series. So I hope I'm going to meet you